Hello, everybody. This is LJ8 Sports here. And today I'll be talking about the Week 5 NFL games. As of now, as an update, the Titans are winning 28-16. As of, if you didn't know, the Buccaneers lost by 20-19. While there were while Brady was 25 for 41. There was other stuff like mm, like Brady had 3 rushes for 0 yards, while Nick Foles was 30 for 42, only missing 12 passes. While Nick Foles had 1 rush for -1 yards and whatnot. There was much more to be said about it, like who's good and who's bad, like Patterson, is he considered a running back or a wide receiver? Cordell Patterson, nobody knows because he had the second most rushing yards and second most receiving yards. Like there was a fumble. Nick Foles, Robert Quinn, and Kyle Fuller. Like you never know what's gonna happen. Really there's Carlos Santo, who was 2 for 2 on field goals and extra points. Like Pat O'Donnell, he had an average of 45.6 punt yards, and Patterson was the kickoff returner, and then now Bayer Ted Ginn was the other returner. Yeah, let's say that there was a bunch of stuff you wouldn't know about stuff and whatnot, like whatnot. Like everything. And everything.
So we going over these scores?
Yeah, I'm going over the
What scores are we going over right
the
now?
Bucks right now.
The Bucks right now?
Yeah, the Bucks, who had a sad 1-point loss, as if you never knew.
Well, nobody. I'm sure everybody that saw the game knew, but the Bucks had a 1 point loss to the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, and now we're gonna move on to the next game.
Well, let's stick with this for a second. Was it a last minute loss?
It was a close one.
Okay. Was there a touchdown at the last second?
I don't know.
Okay. These are things we should know. Tampa Bay, Chicago looks like 20-19 final.
Yeah. The Bucks. Yeah, the Bucks were up. The Bears had a come behind win to win by 1.
Excellent. What's the next game we're going over?
The next game we'll be going over will be the next game we're going over is the Rams at Washington Football Team. The Rams winning 30-10. The Rams had their quarterback Jared Goff pass for 21 out of 30 attempts.
21 out of 30. That's a
good
percentage.
Jared Goff, he had 1 TD, 3 rushes for 0 yards, but somehow he got 1 TD. Cam Akers had 61 rushing yards, and Dale Henderson had 38. Malcolm Brown had 30. Those are three. Though that's a nice triple tandem of running backs that have whatnot. They have Gerald Everett. He had the most receiving yards for the team.
Who's Gerald Everett?
One of their couple of tight ends.
Excellent.
Yeah, and he had 90 yards.
90 yards for a tight end. That's good.
Yeah, I mean 309 in total. Yeah, but the worst was Malcolm Brown, their running back, at -6.
-6.
Yeah, I mean there were fumbles from Jared Goff and Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is one plays on their defense.
All right, what's the next game?
Well, we still have to go over the football team now.
Oh.
Yeah, the football team. they had Kyle Allen come in 3 for 9 for 13, but that's not the highlight of the game. Alex Smith, after having a leg injury and and him saying he didn't want to get his leg amputated, he came back and was 9 for 17 for 37 yards, while they had three running backs. Antonio Gibson had 27, the only one to have over 10 rushing yards in the game, while J.D. McKissick, their running back, had the most receiving yards with 46 and 10 less with 26. Terry McLaurin, which, if you didn't know, that there's the old starter, Dwayne Haskins Jr., that was his pick to be on their team since they played together in college.
Well, all of that all put together, they still lost by 20 points, and those were some pretty terrible stats.
Yeah. I mean, Montez Sweat, Isaiah Wright, and Alex Smith all had one fumble. I mean, Montez Sweat, he had the forced fumble. The other two.
Why don't we move
lost
on
it.
to a game where some good stuff happened?
Yeah. Now let's move on to the battle of Brotherly Love versus the Steel City. The Eagles at the Steelers.
Eagles at the Steelers. What happened there?
Yeah, there was a bunch.
Of course there was.
Yeah, I like to say hi to everybody tuning in right now.
What happened with the Eagles and the Steelers?
The Eagles and the Steelers, they lost. The Steelers, they won by 38-29.
That's a high-scoring game.
Yeah, I mean, Wentz, he had 258 receiving yards while
throwing yards?
Yeah, throwing yards. He was 20 for 35, while their rookie Hurts was 1 for 1 with 18 yards. Only 18, but that's good being 1 for 1 and only having 18 yards, because sometimes one.
It's 18 yards is a good catch.
Yeah, I mean, Miles Sanders had 80 rushing yards, while Wentz had 11 and Boston Scott had 3, while Travis Fulgham had 152 receiving yards, which their next best one only had 37. It was J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who was a second-year wide receiver. Okay.
How about the other team? 29 points, Philadelphia.
The Steelers.
The Steelers.
Big Ben, he missed less than 10 passes. He was 27 for 34 with only 239 passing yards and
That's
3 touchdowns.
For a gigantic old man.
Yeah, I mean, he had 2 rushes for -2 yards, while the Steelers had a bunch of different running backs. Like the Steelers, like the only non-running back, Chase Claypool, he ran for 60 yards. Like it's like they have Ray McClown and whatnot.
All right, what's the next game that was on?
The next game is the Cardinals at the Jets. Jets started Joe Flacco.
Your old hometown hero.
Yeah, I mean, but Kyler Murray, he only missed 10. He had 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 380 passing yards for a nice number, 27 for 37, while he also had 31 rushing yards.
Who was that?
Kyler Murray. He came in the same year as Joe Flacco. He came in a couple years ago.
What were Joe Flacco's stats? You were talking about him a second ago.
We're going to move after I go over D-Hop, who had 131 yards from receptions. Flacco didn't do too bad. He was 18 for 33 with 115 with 195 receiving, passing yards and 1 touchdown.
Did he play the whole game?
Yes, he even rushed 4 rushes for 20 yards.
Nice.
What a nice one for somebody who
isn't also again, it's an interesting stat for a team that lost by 20 points.
Yeah, I mean, they did have Jameson Crowder, who had 116 receiving yards. Yeah, he's the receiver of the day. Now to the shotgun one. The Raiders won 40-32 over the should have won Chiefs.
The Raiders beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Raiders beat the Chiefs while Derek Carr was 22 for 31 with 347 yards passing. What a nice one for him. While he had 4 rushes for 1 yard. They had Josh Jacobs who had 77 yards on 23 attempts and on 7 attempts, which this is pretty good for Devon. For Booker. He had 62 rushing yards, which is good because it was just 7 attempts.
That is good.
So we got about a little less than 10 in attempt. Now for receiving, their big receiver, Henry Ruggs III, rookie. He had 1 touchdown and 118 receiving yards. Now let's move on.
What happened to Mahomes? How did he not win this game?
He was 22 for 43.
That's
2
not
touchdowns, 1 interception, 340 passing yards. While he did rush for 21 yards. I mean, Tyreek Hill, the speedy one, he averaged 5 yards, 1 rushing TD, and 15 yards rushing. While Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who I have on one of my fantasy football teams, he had 10 attempts and he got 40 yards. So he averaged about 10 yards per 4 attempts.
Okay, we might need to simplify some of these stats for your next live stream.
Yeah, I mean, Travis Kelce, he had 1 TD and 108 receiving yards. Now let's move on onto the next game. We have the Texans. First time the Texans won after they fired Bill O'Brien.
They just fired him last week, didn't they?
Yeah. And then the oldest interim head coach came in. Like, he's an interim head coach.
So they must have felt good about firing him.
Yeah, they must have felt good. I mean, there's Minshew Mania, a nickname for Gardner Minshew. He had not 300 yards passing, but 301 yards passing.
Wow.
2 touchdowns, 31 for 49. Their top rusher was James Robinson, 48 yards. Their top receiver was Laviska Shenault.
You have a listener who's saying hi. Who is that?
A kid from my class.
A kid from your class? Hello, kid from your class. Is he a football fan?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean...
Say hello back. He's tuning in.
Now let's say we're going to move on to the next one. Texas. Deshaun Watson was 25 for 35 with a whopping 2 interceptions, 3 touchdowns with 359 passing yards. He also had 25 rushing yards, while David Johnson had 96 with 161 yards. And 1 TD was Brandon Cooks.
You guys aren't seeing this right now, but we're watching some pretty good runs on these highlights. But due to copyright infringement, we don't want Rowan to get shut down.
Yeah, I mean, as you think about it, I've heard some stuff today where Matt Ryan could be traded, but you never know because the GM and the head coach are bound to be fired.
The GM and the head coach of the Falcons are bound to be fired? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying that.
And then they lost this game, so that's not good for their case.
Yeah, they're 0-5.
0-5?
They're becoming a meme of the NFL with how many losses they have. I mean, to say the least. Teddy Bridgewater, who started for the Panthers, he was 27 for 37, 313 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Mike Davis had 16 attempts, had 89 rushing yards. The top receiver, Robbie Anderson, had 112 yards.
The people on the screen have nothing to do with what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, I mean, none of them do. This is just the game of the day.
Game of the day? What made this the game of the day?
I mean, the game of the day, if you look right now, Josh Allen is playing today. Number 3, Josh Allen is playing right now.
This is today's game. Oh, not the game of the day. Today's game?
Yeah, it's today's game. And there's an update right now. Derrick Henry just scored a 9-yard touchdown.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, the one who had the pass
We know
in the
who
Ravens
Derrick
game.
Henry is.
Yeah. Now let's get to Miami having a whopping win over the San Francisco 49ers, which the San Francisco 49ers, after Jimmy Garoppolo coming back, he got he got benched.
He got benched.
He got benched after he came back
Who's
from
the
an injury.
quarterback right now?
Mullins, somebody who isn't as known.
No.
Yeah, I mean started from
Who's the Dolphins quarterback?
Ryan
43 points?
Fitzmagic.
Oh yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, 22 for 28, 350 yards, 3 touchdowns. Myles Gaskins had 57 yards rushing, and the top two and there were 2 receivers with 90 plus yards. Preston Williams with 106 and 1 TD. Myles Gaskin with 91 and 0 TDs. Like now now we have to move on to Miami. I mean, yeah, the 49ers, they started CJ Beathard 9 for 18, 94 yards, 1 touchdown, while Jimmy G, as his nickname is, 7 for 17 with 77 yards, while 90 yards for Raheem Mostert rushing. And there were in the top 2 players is tied for 44 yards and receiving was George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk. Now we're going to move on to the Giants and Cowboys, which was put on CBS this week, not a Fox game like normally would be.
Wow, the NFC on CBS.
Yeah, that's because the Jets share the same city.
They had to move so that people could watch the Jets lose on their regular channel.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
I mean, when you think about it, I mean, I feel bad for Dallas because I would like to move on to them. I like to do it backwards this time because I want to talk about Dak. So Dak, like he moved. Yeah, he's gonna be out for 4 to 6 months because he injured. Yeah, because he injured himself. So it was like such an injury. Like he actually was like
broke his ankle.
He broke his ankle, and he was crying when being taken off the field.
Are you calling him a crybaby?
No.
What?
No.
Is LJ Sports calling out Dak as a crybaby?
I mean, LJ Sports, also Robo Sports Facts on my podcast, is not.
He's not. Okay.
I'm not. I'm just saying.
Him a crybaby.
I'm just saying that I heard that from the Overtime Show on 105.7 Times Show.
On the 105.7 calling Dak a crybaby.
I mean, it wasn't. He was a crybaby. It's just that he was crying because I bet it hurt so bad because it went the wrong way. I mean, you probably don't want to see a replay of it.
It's definitely not going the right way if it's broken.
Yeah, I mean, Dak still did pretty good. I mean, there are 2 quarterbacks throwing for over 100 yards, 14 for 21. Dak had an interception, but he had 166 passing yards. And then former quarterback for the team we played, the Bengals, had 101 yards, 9 for 11. And then Cedric Wilson was 1 for 11 yards.
Carson Palmer?
Their quarterback is Joey I mean, they have their number. I mean, like
who used to be the quarterback for Cincinnati that you just talked about?
Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton. Okay.
Yeah, I mean Andy Dalton.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, I mean,
wasn't Carson Palmer on Cincinnati?
Yeah, he was on Cincinnati, and then I'm pretty sure he was on like the Cardinals and a couple other teams. I mean, when you think about it, like
Dalton, that big red hair, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean Dalton. I mean, when you think about it, Dak was 2 for 7. He had 2 rushes for 70 yards. I mean, he was the 3rd worst rusher. I mean, 3 out of 5.
The poor guy broke his ankle and cried about it. Give him a break.
Yeah, I mean Zeke. You want to feed Zeke which is a saying, feed Zeke. 19 for 19 attempts, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns and a 4.8 average.
That's amazing.
We had Tony Pollard, who only had 30 yards rushing. We have CeeDee Lamb, who had 124 receiving yards.
Okay.
Now
What about
back
the
over to
next
the
game?
Giants. They had
No, the
Danny
Giants.
Dimes is his nickname. His real name is Danny Dimes. They had 222 passing yards with what went 20 for 33. While Devontae Freeman, who came in for the who was picked up off waivers because Saquon Barkley had a season-ending injury. He had 60 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. Their top receiver was Darius Slayton, who had 129 receiving yards.
Well, it looks like it was a hard loss for them by 3 points. What's
Yeah.
their next game?
They're also 0-5. The next game is the Colts losing to the Browns. First time the Browns.
32 to 23.
Yeah, I mean the
That's a
Colts.
cool score, at least.
Yeah, I mean it's palindromes.
Palindrome score.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we
it
put
is.
them together, I mean when you think about it, like the Browns actually did good because Philip Rivers was playing for the Colts, former Charger, 21 for 33 with 243 yards, but don't forget about his 2 interceptions he had.
I won't forget about him. He probably won't either.
I mean, Jonathan Taylor, like he had 57
Jonathan Taylor Thomas from what was that, Tool Time?
No, Jonathan Taylor, who came out of Wisconsin. He had 1 touchdown, 57 was rushing. Yeah, yards rushing. While T.Y. Hilton, this is one of they spread the rock to so many players like T.Y. Hilton there, who had 69 receiving yards, had the most. While when we look at it, Baker Mayfield had 21 yards, was 21 for 37, 247 yards, 2 TDs to 2 interceptions, and this time Odell Beckham threw a pass. Not in week 4, Odell Beckham caught a pass. Odell Beckham was 1 for 1 for 18 yards.
Wait, he caught a pass or he threw a pass?
He caught a pass 2 weeks ago. This week he threw a pass.
He threw a pass. Is he as good as Cook?
Yeah, I mean they have.
Did he complete his pass?
Yes, he did. He was 1 for 1 with for 18 yards.
18 yards.
Yeah, I mean they have Kareem Hunt who had 20 attempts, 72 yards, and then when you think about it, Jarvis Landry injury, he had 88 yards receiving. Jarvis Landry was one that threw the touchdown pass to Odell Beckham Jr. the other game. Now to the Vikings and Seahawks.
That's why it was relevant. I got you.
The Seahawks.
It was a non-quarterback.
The Seahawks are 5-0, winning by 1 in prime time. Kirk Cousins was 27 for 39, 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. This is one of the few teams I've seen so far that had a 100-plus yard rusher, while Alexander Madison had 20 attempts for 112 yards, no touchdowns, while Adam Thielen had 80 yards, 9 receptions, 2 touchdowns, and 13 targets.
The other team probably couldn't see after looking at those jerseys. You see how bright those are?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about Russell Wilson, he only missed 12 passes. He was 20 for 32. He had 117 passing yards with 3 touchdowns and 1 lonely interception.
He just squeaked by.
He had
1 point.
Yeah, I mean, for a quarterback having the most rushing yards, that's a surprise. He had the most by 6. He had 5 rushes for 58 yards, while their leading running back had 8 for 52 and 1 touchdown. While DK Metcalf, or as people have nicknamed him, DK Swolecalf, 6 yards, 6 out of 11 targets he caught for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. While the Saints and the Chargers last night, the Saints won by 3. Justin Herbert, rookie for the Chargers, 20 for 34, 0 interceptions, 4 touchdowns, had 264 yards. Justin Jackson, their leading rusher, had 71 yards, 15 attempts, and he was Justin Jackson. Their leading receiver, Mike Williams, had 5 receptions, 2 TDs, 8 targets, and 109 yards. Now let's move on. Now let's move back up to the Ravens.
Have we done the Ravens yet?
No, they were saved for last.
Oh boy.
While Cincy had a lone 3, Joe Burrow was 19 for 30 with 183 yards and 1 interception, while Joe Mixon had 59 yards.
Yeah, but how about that Humphrey?
Humphrey. I mean,
they mic'd him up on this game.
And flat and Mr. New Era 8.
Yeah, but did you see when they mic'd up Humphrey and he stripped that ball and Queen picked it up and ran it back in for the touchdown?
Yeah.
They show him screaming, running down the sideline.
I mean, when you think about it, Queen, he did so good. He got 2 game balls.
Yeah, they said he's the new Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
Just less knives.
Yeah. I mean, T. Higgins is another rookie. He was 4 for 20. He had 4 receptions, 26 yards. I mean, 62 yards. I mean, Joe Burrow playing against Patrick Queen, they were teammates at LSU in college. When you think about it, Lamar was 19 for 37, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. While the Ravens, they had 4 players go for more than 10 rushing yards. Mark Ingram at 57, Duvernay, their wide receiver, with 42, Dobbins with 34, and Edwards with 25. Flacco only had 2. I mean, you have
Flacco.
I mean, you have Lamar only had 3.
You keep calling Lamar Flacco.
Yeah,
because they look so much alike.
It's because they played for the same team. I mean, when you think about it, the Ravens spreading the rock. They spread it to so many different guys. I mean, Snead, Edwards,
like Queen.
Snead, Edwards, and Boykin. All passes thrown. All had a couple. Had 2 to 3 passes thrown to them, but never caught them. Marquise Brown had 77 yards. Andrews had 56. Dobbins had 21. And Duvernay had 17. Ricard had alone 7 yards, while Nick Boyle had 2. I mean, when you think about it, Peters had a forced fumble, Humphries had a forced fumble, and Queen had a forced fumble. I mean, when you think about it,
what about Judon? What did Judon?
I mean, we can say the interceptions for Peters and Pernell McPhee on his second year of his. I mean, yeah, he's on his second year of his second tenure with the Ravens. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, when we look at Judon, he had 3
tackles.
Yeah, 3 tackles. I mean, Ferguson, he had a TFL. I mean, when you think about it, sacks, Queen, McPhee. I mean, Chuck Clark, Peters, Deshaun Elliott.
Defense is a good one to have on your fantasy football team this year.
Yeah,
or this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of annoyed because I was gonna draft him for an all Ravens team, then somebody drafted them before me.
Well, I'd draft him before you too if I could.
Yeah, I mean, I would. I'd have to say Marquise Brown had 30. He averaged 30 yards, 30 is long in kickoff returns, while punt returns was Prochet averaging 3.3 with a 10-yard long.
I think this clip right here that they're playing, that I saw, there was on their. No, it wasn't this one. It was on Instagram. The one where Lamar passes maybe to Andrews, and then Harbaugh walks up to him afterwards and tells him what a perfect play it was and how beautiful and it was executed, and the love between the two is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to bring up the worst play.
Oh, of course you do. You're very negative.
I mean, one of the plays was
the worst play?
I mean, it was just the Bengals. They made sure that the ball went out of bounds. The Ravens could have had the ball. It was could have had the ball. Nope. Bengals force it out of balance.
When did the Bengals score? It was 27-0
in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was 27-0 for a while.
I mean, now let's move on to the dogfight. Somehow the Titans, who haven't practiced in 2 weeks, are winning right now, 16-42.
They're coveting them out.
Yeah, I mean, there's 1 minute 59 seconds. I will be right now. Josh Allen has 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, and 6 and
Wait, what is it?
263 yards.
Tuesday? What time did this game start?
At 7.
Yeah.
It started at 7 because of all the stuff going around with the Titans. They had to skip the Steelers game, which messed up the Ravens and made the Ravens have a week 7 bye instead of a week 8 bye.
Oh.
And all this and that. Like the Titans, they're starting Ryan Tannehill, who has more touchdowns but less passing yards.
Do you think anybody was watching the Supreme Court justice thing today on any of these teams?
I mean, I would not know. I mean, I'd like to just say that Diggs is doing pretty good. I mean, like the game is pretty much over because
the game's over. It's 42-16.
How much time's left? I mean, the Titans they have one timeout.
Coming back.
I don't think the Bills can come back.
I don't think it's possible. How much time's left?
Like, I mean,
52 seconds?
Yeah. No, a couple like
a minute and 52 seconds.
Yeah, a minute and 52 seconds.
It's 42-16.
I mean, Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill can combine for about 100 rushing yards. That's to say the least. I mean, when you think about it, it's like AJ. I mean, like they have Jonnu Smith, AJ Brown, and whatnot. I mean, like I can think of 2 YouTubers that I watch that are Titans fans, TD Baird and RBT. I mean, like when you think about it, like that's not the only thing that's going on right now. There's baseball going on at the moment.
I don't think we have time for a baseball stream right now.
I mean, I'm just going to give a quick little update. As of now, 8-3 mid-ninth, up 8-3 Braves over Dodgers, and right now, end of the third, 1 at home Astros, 0-1 over the Rays.
Are the Astros cheating again this year?
No.
Or is that the Padres? Who's cheating?
I'm not sure, but I've heard that the Yankees allegedly cheated sometime. And whatnot.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's like so much to say. Like, this has been all from the LJ headquarters. I like to do a couple quick shout outs before I say bye-bye to everything.
Who are you shouting out to?
I'm gonna shout out. Please go check out OMG Card Pulls.
OMG Card Pulls. That guy's cool. He's got a nice setup and long streams of card openings. You call them card breaks?
Card breaks. And I'm always over there. So if you want to chat with me, come over there. Also, I would like to shout out my co-host.
Co-host.
He's funny because it's true on YouTube, and check out his podcast, Deconstructing Aesop's Fables with John Wilkins. That's all for tonight.
Bye.
Bye. I'll be back to you sometime soon.